Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash, the double honors to my apostles, the great millstone, and peace and salutation to the hopeful members of the elect, the Bacharim, the house of David, that's been preordained, predestined to get delivered in these last times, and to be the ruling governing body of the nation of Yasha'Allah. This is part 2 of new brain implant begins human trials. All right, this is from Neuralink, Elon Musk, his corporation. So without further ado, I'm gonna play this video.
Cortex region of the brain, which are then read by the computer and translated into computer code. And that process allows a person with the brain implant to control an electronic device with their brain. They can control a robotic limb like it was their
Right,
own.
we know that this is alluding to the MOTB, all right, the brain chip, spoken of in Revelation, the 13th chapter. All right. And then I also have this new executive order that Joe Biden just signed, which we'll get into in a minute.
Own arm, or control a computer to move a mouse or type on a keyboard. The downside to this method is that it is limited to use only in medical research environments. People can't go about their lives with all of this stuff coming out of their heads. They can't even maintain this in their own homes. Also, because the Utah array is just a bunch of tiny nails in the surface of your brain, the body is going to want to reject that foreign object. It's going to get inflamed and form scar tissue around the puncture that will eventually render the device useless.
Hey, did you know that PG&E and SCE are now paying California homeowners thousands of dollars up front to put a backup battery system in there?
So now we enter the next generation of BCI technology, currently being led by startup companies like Neuralink and Synchron. Like we said off the top, Synchron is the first to reach full human trials. They initially began testing in Australia with a group of 4 patients receiving their BCI implant. Apparently, Australia has looser regulations about what you can put into people's brains. And just last year, Synchron was given the go-ahead by the FDA to commence human testing in the United States. The first U.S. patient just received their stentrode implant and will be the first of 6 people involved in the $10 million study.
See, that's how they're coming at these people, all right? They're coming in ways of we can heal different ailments, sickness. Right here it says sci-fi no more. Synchron implants mind-reading device and first U.S. patient in paralysis trial. So people that are paralytic, that can't walk, they're lame. They're gonna come with the narrative, oh, we can heal you. We can reconnect different stem cells that can help you be able to walk again. That's how they're going to come at these people. And people will take this. When people hear that they can walk again, they can move certain body parts that were once disabled, they're going to like that. They like how that sounds. Okay. And this is how this beast system is going to come at these people at first, and then it's going to come down with great wrath. It's going to be mandated, the hour of temptation. Okay, he's going to come down with great wrath. Let me get that in Revelation 12 verse 12. See, right now Esau is coming. He's coming in with good ideas, with benefits. If you take this, you'll receive this type of benefit. All right, this can help this, but it's all deceiving, because if you take this, then you're fully controlled by the beast system. They can hack you. They can hack into you. You're fully their property. So this is Revelation 12 verse 12, and it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them." That's the elect. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth. And woe means destruction. So woe to the inhabitants of the earth, everyone that's outside the truth, and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you. Now the word devil means false accuser or adversary, and that's Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, and not just any Edomite you see walking down the street. We're talking about the elites, or the higher ups, the Illuminati, if you will, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, so on, or the 13 bloodlines. Okay, it says, "For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." And how is he going to come down? All right, with his sword. These different UN troops, militias, mercenaries, and he's going to mandate this chip. Okay, Revelation 2 verse 10. No, that's not the scripture. Revelation 3 verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. That's the time we're heading into. It's going to be an hour, a season of temptation, of an experiment. This is a one big experiment right here. Esau wants to be like the Most High. He wants to brain chip everyone, or put it, the scriptures say, Revelation 13, if you're receiving your right hand. All right, and I did a video, my part 1, why it says, right hand doesn't matter. It could be in your left hand, like Pastor Hart said, in your left butt cheek. But either way, if you get it, you're doomed. But the reason why it's right hand is because how the chip will be powered by is by your own heat energy, and your heat emits more on your right side. Okay, so that's the reason why it says that. So John the Revelator he was seeing to the future. All right, that's what a prophet does. We tell you what's to come in the future. Okay, so it says, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And it's going to come down to, soon it's going to come, first it's going to be benefits. Oh, take this. They're going to make it sound cool. It's going to be in commercials. These rappers, different celebrities are going to promote it. Then it's going to come down to a time where it's going to be draconian measures. You're going to have to take this, or you're going to be in prison, and then soon be put to death. If you want to eat, you got to take this. If you want to live in our society, buy a house, live in a house or an apartment, you got to take this. Okay?
Study funded by the National Institutes of Health. To understand why Synchron crossed the threshold before Neuralink, we can look at the design of their implant. The stentrode is named after a common medical device called a stent. This is just a long, thin, flexible tube that doctors can insert into a patient's blood vessel. Stents are used all the time for a number of procedures, mostly involving the heart. If you have a blocked or narrowed artery, the doctor will insert a stent tube to hold it open for you so that blood can flow and you don't have a heart attack. So, the stentrode is actually what it sounds like, a stent combined with a cluster of electrodes. The Synchron procedure is to insert the stent with a catheter into the patient's jugular vein and run it all the way up into a blood vessel that is nestled within the motor cortex of the brain. When they pull back the catheter tube, the hollow wire mesh of the stentrode will expand out and interface with the walls of the blood vessel, and the wire at the other end of the stentrode is connected into a very small computer device that is implanted inside the patient's chest cavity. If this sounds at all familiar, that's just because this is virtually the exact same procedure as implanting a pacemaker. They're just running the wire into the brain instead of into the heart. The implanted computer device will then connect with the rest of the system via Bluetooth, either paired to a computer or even just a smartphone. The beauty of the Synchron procedure is that there will be nothing sticking out of the person. There will be no visible sign that they have an implant in their brain. The system can be used anywhere. The surgery can be done in any hospital setting in just a couple of hours, and most importantly, there is no need to open the person's skull or damage their brain tissue. The first patient to receive stentrode in America is a person suffering from ALS who has no ability to move their body or even speak. Thanks to the Synchron device, this person is now able to use a computer and communicate by text just by thinking. The only downside to the Synchron is that it is only inside a blood vessel that runs through the brain, the electrode is not actually inside the cortex tissue and physically interfacing with the neurons. So the signal coming through the stentrode is limited. It can't match the bandwidth of the Utah array. So Synchron is definitely solving many problems, but they're still not creating a whole solution. And
I'm about to cash this check for $50,000 for an accident I was involved in over 5 months ago. The same
And that is where Neuralink comes in. Their Link device brings the best of both worlds from the traditional Utah array and the modern stentrode, and they take that capability to an even higher level. So, much like the Utah array, the Neuralink does require the removal of some skull material. You're gonna have another hole in your head, unfortunately. But then instead of just spiking a tiny bed of nails into the brain, Neuralink uses a robotic sewing machine to carefully and accurately insert incredibly fine and flexible electrode wires into the outer cortex layer. They just go in a couple of millimeters. And this way, the robot can place the electrode directly into the neuron that they want to read, going straight to the source, maximum bandwidth. And each Link device will have about 1,000 of these tiny wires. So there is an absolutely massive amount of signal coming out of the brain. And then the computer device that's attached to the electrode wires is so small that it can fit perfectly inside the new hollow void of your skull and sit flush with the bone. That way, they can just fold the skin back over and sew you up. Once the hair grows back in, there would be no visible sign that you have a computer in your skull that's hardwired into your brain. The same as the stentrode, the Link device would pair via Bluetooth with a computer or smartphone that would read the signals created in the brain and translate them into computer commands. So, while the stentrode uses a very familiar and well-tested medical procedure to handle the implanting of the electrodes, Neuralink is proposing an entirely unprecedented kind of robotic brain surgery. No one's ever had a robotic sewing machine stitch wires into a human brain before. And that likely means that Neuralink is going to need to present a very thorough and well-tested proposal to the FDA in order to gain their approval for human testing. We know that Neuralink are doing their current device testing in pigs and monkeys. We also know that this hasn't always ended well for the monkey. In many cases, the monkeys who were operated on were either previously deceased at the time of the operation or were so near death that they were euthanized immediately after the procedure. Those monkey deaths were planned and are a regular part of testing any medical device. In other cases, some monkeys
this devil gotta go. You know, even animals are not safe with this demon.
Die because of infections or complications directly related to the Neuralink surgery. And that sucks, but that is how we learn new things about science and medicine, by first testing the idea on animals. So, I do want to say thank you to the monkeys for your sacrifice. I'm sure you would have preferred to not be killed by a brain implant experiment, but your death will not be in vain. So, as far as when Neuralink might begin their own human trials, we don't really know for sure. We know that this is something that they are actively working on with the FDA. Elon says that his company is committed to not only meeting, but far exceeding all of the safety standards involved with the trial. When asked, Elon said that he expects human Neuralink trials by the end of this year. He also said the same thing last year, but he's saying it again this year. He has to be right eventually, right? Like a broken clock kind of situation. Also, it's probably good to not be the first modern brain implant to go to human testing. There's going to be something that can be learned from the Synchron experience that can help make Neuralink better. Again, there's more than enough room in the industry to have multiple players. It's not like Neuralink should just quit because Synchron got ahead in the testing phase. And Synchron isn't useless just because it has a lower bandwidth connection. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the world with varying forms of brain injury and disease, and they need all of the help they can get as soon as they can possibly get it. So, more BCI companies doing more real-world testing will always be better. Hopefully that's opened up the world of brain-computer interfaces for you just a little bit. Elon and Neuralink might be the loudest and the flashiest, and they by far get the most attention, but there is a lot of really great technology out there that is going to help a lot of people, and that's awesome. Though again, RIP to the hero monkeys.
So this is the new executive order that Joe Biden signed. Executive Order 14067, ensuring responsible development of digital assets. So of course we're going to more of digital currency, because the dollar is going to is going to become obsolete. You're not going to be able to have physical money in our dollars. All right, because they want to track everything. They want to track what you buy, okay, when you receive money, everything. They can be, from a yard sale, okay. They want to track every transaction you make and every time you receive money. It says, by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the USA, it is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, policy. It says, advances in digital and distributed ledger technology for financial services have led to dramatic growth in markets for digital assets, with profound implications of the protection of consumers, investors, and businesses, including data privacy and security, financial stability and systemic risk, crime, national security, the ability to exercise human rights, financial inclusion and equity, and energy demand and climate change. In November 2021, non-state issued digital assets reached a combined market capitalization of $3 trillion, up from approximately $14 billion in early November 2016. Monetary authorities globally are also exploring, in some cases, introducing central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. All right, CBDCs. You probably heard that all right. Central bank digital currencies. And this is what we're heading into. While many activities involving digital assets are within the scope of existing domestic laws and regulations, an area where the United States have been global leader, growing development and adoption of digital assets and related innovations, as well as inconsistent controls to defend against certain key risks, necessitate an evolution and an alignment of the U.S. government approach to digital assets. The United States has an interest in responsible financial innovation, expanding access to safe and affordable financial services, and reducing the cost of domestic and cross-border funds transfers and payments, including through the continued modernization of public payment systems. We must take strong steps to reduce the risk that digital assets could pose to consumers, investors, and businesses. Protections, financial stability and financial system integrity, combating and preventing crime and illicit finance, national security, the ability to exercise human rights, financial inclusion and equity, the climate change and pollution. So you see that they're doing this gradually, all right? They're doing this gradually, and certain countries are already on board, like Sweden. They have the chip. A lot of them just pay with their phones. All right, like physical money, um, paper money is obsolete over there. Even in China, they actually look at you in China like you're crazy, or you're just an old timer if you have physical money, or paper money, I should say. Okay, so we're heading to this digital age. It says Section 2, objectives, the principal policy objectives of the United States with respect to digital assets are as follows. We must protect consumers, investors, businesses in the United States. The unique and varied features of digital assets can pose significant financial risk to consumers, investors, and businesses if appropriate protections are not in place. In the absence of sufficient oversight and standards, firms providing digital asset services may provide inadequate protections for sensitive financial data, custodial and other arrangements relating to customer assets and funds, or disclosures of risk associated with investment. Cybersecurity and market failures at major digital asset exchanges and trading platforms have resulted in billions of dollars in losses. The U.S. should ensure that safeguards are in place and promote the responsible development of digital assets to protect consumers, investors, and businesses, maintain privacy, and shield against arbitrary or unlawful surveillance, which can contribute to human rights abuses. All right. And it's more to it's a whole lot more. Okay. It's a whole lot more. So you can look it up, yourself. Just type in executive order 14067. Okay. And you can skim through this if you want to read the whole thing. So yeah, we're getting closer, man. Okay. So with that, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rachakodash. Double honors to my apostles, a great millstone. Peace and salutation to the hopefully elect. Shalom.